Somewhere deep inside, most people carry a quiet confidence about eternity. They assume they already know the answer. Be a good person, treat others with kindness, show up to religious gatherings, follow the traditions passed down through generations. These feel like reasonable expectations, logical even, and for millions of people across the world, this assumption sits undisturbed, never questioned, never examined. But Jesus had a habit of walking directly into comfortable assumptions and turning them completely upside down. He did it with religious leaders, he did it with crowds, and he did it with one of the most important teachings he ever delivered. A teaching so unexpected, so quietly devastating, that 2,000 years later, most people still have not fully grasped what he was actually saying. Jesus described two roads, not in complicated theological language, not hidden inside a long sermon. He described them simply, clearly, and with unmistakable intention. The first road was wide, spacious, comfortable. It required very little adjustment. People walked it confidently, surrounded by enormous crowds moving in the same direction. There was no friction on that road, no resistance, no challenge, just the easy rhythm of going along with everyone else. And that, Jesus said, was precisely the problem, because the destination of that wide, crowded, comfortable road was not what the travelers believed it to be. The majority were walking with confidence towards something they had never truly stopped to examine. The music of the crowd drowned out the warning signs. The comfort of the journey replaced the urgency of the destination. And Jesus looked at all of it and said something that should have stopped everyone in their tracks. Then he pointed somewhere else entirely. A narrow path, difficult to find, requiring deliberate effort just to stay on it, far fewer people walking it. No crowd noise, no easy momentum. Just a quiet, demanding road that most people passed right by without a second glance. Jesus said this path led to life, not comfort, not popularity, not the approval of the majority, life. And the contrast he drew was not subtle, it was stark, intentional, and deeply personal. He was not describing geography, he was describing the condition of the human heart. The wide road was wide because it asked nothing of the people walking it. The narrow path was narrow because it required something most people were unwilling to give, not perfection, not religious performance, something far more personal than either of those things. Jesus was not standing before the crowds delivering a message of fear. He was not trying to condemn people or draw a line between the worthy and the unworthy. What he was doing was far more urgent and far more compassionate than that. He was calling people to transformation. A genuine, internal, life-altering change of direction. Not a checklist of religious duties completed on schedule. Not a performance designed to impress others or satisfy tradition. A real turning of the heart toward God. A daily, honest, sometimes difficult choice to follow him rather than simply follow the crowd. The narrow path was never about being morally superior to the people on the wide road. It was about authenticity, about truly knowing Jesus, not just knowing about him, about a relationship that changes how a person thinks, loves, forgives, and lives. That distinction, quiet as it sounds, changes absolutely everything. The warning Jesus gave was never designed to paralyze people with fear. It was designed to interrupt the comfortable sleepwalk that most of humanity moves through without ever stopping to question. He wanted people to pause, to look up from the road beneath their feet, to ask honestly which direction they were actually heading, because eternity, according to Jesus, is far too significant to leave to assumptions inherited from culture, tradition, or the simple comfort of walking where everyone else walks. The question he left behind is not complicated. It does not require a theology degree or a lifetime of religious study. It is simply this: in the quiet, honest moments when no one else is watching, when the crowd noise fades and the road stretches forward, which path are you actually walking? That question, asked sincerely, is exactly where everything begins.